What's up, everybody? Go Burns, welcoming you to another episode of my vlogs series on my vlogs channel. So if you have yet to check out the vlogs channel, be sure and do so. And if you like the content, hit the subscribe button. We got just over 120 subscribers, so thank you to all of my faithful fans and viewers who are also subscribed to the vlogs channel. You guys are awesome. And if you have a vlog suggestion for a future episode, you can send it my way. And first off, obviously, make sure that I have yet to do that vlog, because I've done a few over the past year. Usually on a weekly basis. I've gotten pretty good about doing it weekly now. It used to be it'd be like once a month or once every 2 weeks. But I'm trying to get one out every week. And it's easier to do that if you guys actually give me suggestions. So if it's something I've yet to do a vlog on, feel free and send it my way via the comment section, Twitter, Facebook, or email, goburns@gmail.com, especially if you want to keep it anonymous. And I've had at least one or two anonymous requests because of the subject matter, and I completely understand that. So if you don't want the world to know that, McDonald's was asking me for this vlog suggestion that's kind of personal, kind of touchy-feely, or something that you just want to keep anonymous for the sake of being anonymous, you can do that by the email, goburns@gmail.com, or you can just Facebook message it to me, or you can tweet or message it to me as well via Twitter. But just let me know that you want it to be anonymous, or else I'm just going to include your name. And some people like that because they like shout-outs, so there's nothing wrong with that either. Anyway, so if you are educated, if you have knowledge, if you know how to read, you obviously know what the title of this vlog is. Education. And I probably have touched on this in a few various vlogs. And sometimes, yes, I go off track when it comes to my vlogs. But I always try to center around like one theme or a particular subject. But sometimes I do tend to wander a little. It happens. But I thought that this would be a good subject to discuss today in this vlog, because education is very important. And I'm not just talking about the basic education, which you have to go to school, from like 5 to 18, mandatory, whether it's through public schooling or private or parochial or military school. Yes, unfortunately, we all had to go to school, right? Well, most of us are homeschool. And with all things, there's always a path of resistance. And because of that resistance, unfortunately, some of us deny ourselves a proper education. And sometimes we're just in a bad environment where, unfortunately, it's hard to get a good education, especially in some public schools nowadays. But here's one thing about our species, one thing I've learned about humans, the good things, the bad things. We are a very, very curious species. Just like most predators, Malk, leave me alone, I'm trying to vlog. Now go educate yourself back to Liberty City, please. He just won't go away. He's like that friend that won't leave you alone, no matter what. But anyway, so, yeah, we are a very curious species because we are technically a predator. Like your pet dog or your pet cat. You notice that they get curious about things because of that predatorial instinct they have. I mean, they're not content just sitting around grazing grass all day, or whatever cows and goats like to eat, which is usually supposed to be grass, not some of the other shit that unfortunately they get fed to fatten them up, but that's a side issue. When it comes to education, we do have this instinct where we crave knowledge, to learn things. Now, we're all different. Not all of us want to learn algebra. Not all of us want to learn geometry or writing skills or punctuation or grammar. Some of us want to learn science. Some of us want to learn history. But education is a good thing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to vlog about this is because I know for a fact that a good percentage of you, my subscribers, viewers, and fans, are getting some form of education right now, whether you're in a public school or private school, some form of school, or perhaps even higher education. Some of you may even be in college. And I know the struggle. You're trying to go to class, you're trying to do homework, you're trying to pay attention, and you're just like, why am I doing this? Why? What's the point? I don't understand, especially when you're in like grade school or middle school or high school, and you're having to deal with all the other shit that happens when you're in your teens. You know, bullying and hormones kicking in, that wiring just starting to go online and causing all sorts of other issues and peer pressure as well. So it can be difficult to focus on gaining the knowledge that you need in order to make it into adulthood and hopefully have a successful career at whatever field you end up going into. But that's the point. With education, it leads you towards better career opportunities, better job opportunities, better lifestyle opportunities. And that's why it's very important for you to study. That's why it's very important for you to turn in your homework on time, and very important for you to make good grades on tests and schoolwork, and take it from somebody who didn't. Because look, I was not the best student back in high school. I made some mistakes. I may have mentioned the mistakes I've made, but the point is I ended up almost paying for those mistakes until the last couple years of my tenure in high school, when I finally decided to turn it around and motivate myself to start studying and passing the classes I needed to pass in order to graduate and get my diploma. And I accomplished that, be it I ended up graduating at the bottom of my class, but I still got my diploma. I didn't have to go to summer school. I didn't get held back a year. I didn't drop out. I stayed the course because at the time I dedicated 13 years of my life to school. From 5 to 18, I think. I believe the math is right on that. So a lot of people I found strange that they would just drop out at the last minute, the last year. And I'm like, dude, you've already put 12, 13 years of your life into this. You might as well get something out of it. And in my opinion, a diploma still looks better than a GED. So yeah, I got my diploma. And then I did a few years getting my associate's degree. And even though my associate's degree, that was awesome. Even though my associate's degree doesn't really mean anything, it's still a piece of paper. It still means I actually, got something out of all the hours I spent in college and the credits I got and the money I spent. And one day, whenever I rise to be a general, I can just say that, look, I have a degree in general studies. Therefore, I am qualified to be a general. I know, it's a lame joke, but I use it all the time. It never fails. Unlike that stunt jump. So, this is the issue when it comes to education. Obviously, public schooling is not so good. Hopefully you don't hear my dog hounding in the backyard. If you do, it's probably because an emergency vehicle's driving by or in the area. He has very, very sensitive ears. He's a hound dog, so if you do hear Eddie hounding in the backyard, yep, I hear an engine. Probably a fire truck or an ambulance. So yeah, like most dogs, they just hear at that high pitch that we don't hear. And they don't like it. He definitely doesn't like it. So he's obviously making some noise in the backyard. I don't even know if you can hear it or not. Hopefully you didn't. But if you did, that's why. Because he obviously does not like the sirens. And to be honest, what dog does, right? But when it comes to the education system, obviously some of the problems are how bad public schooling is in some countries. In the States, it's definitely not as good as it should be. But the other issues, I would say it comes down to parenting. Because parents need to do a better job of encouraging their children to study, to do their homework, to pass their tests. And not do it from a stick point of view, do it from a carrot point of view. Where look, you need to make good grades because do you want a good job? Do you want to end up getting a nice place to live one day? Would you like nice clothes? Would you like a decent car? Okay, well, you need to do good in high school. You need to get a diploma. You need to get good grades. But the other issue is what happens after high school. Because we as a society, well, at least in the States, it may be the same elsewhere, we focus so much on the push to make kids go to a four-year college, a university, in order to get a bachelor's degree, then a master's degree, then a PhD. And as a result, a lot of them drop out because they end up not really being able to push themselves to get a bachelor's degree. And the other problem, even if they do get a degree, is student debt from college loans, because not everybody can afford to go to college on their own. Some people might be better off than others when it comes to that. Some people are lucky to get scholarships or Pell Grants, but most people can't, and they have to, get a loan, and loans, can get pretty steep because it's expensive to go off to a four-year college. And yeah, not everybody has to go to a four-year college to be successful, and that's something we need to really look at as a society and say that, maybe some people need it. Some people, like if you're wanting to become a teacher or a professor, or if you're wanting to become eventually, say, a doctor or a lawyer, for example, or an engineer, something that requires you to first and foremost get a four-year degree. Now my cat's meowing. Okay, now that I got my cat dealt with, he started meowing for some reason. First the dog, then the cat. I swear. All right, so the misconception is, in order to be successful, you have to go to a four-year college. You have to get a bachelor's degree. And if necessary, you have to get into piles and piles of student debt. Now, as I pointed out, in some regards, yes, you do have to have a four-year college degree. But we need to start looking at success from more than such a narrow point of view as, you don't have to be a lawyer or a doctor or a professor to be successful. There are plenty of people that are not those things that society needs, that actually make a pretty good living. Like, for example, a moment ago, we were just driving out of Los Santos Customs to get my car repaired. Guess what? Mechanics make pretty good money. And they don't have to go to a four-year college. They don't have to get a bachelor's degree. They don't have to get a master's degree or a PhD. They go to a trade school. They learn a trade. They learn how to be a mechanic. They learn how to work on engines and brakes and all the other stuff it takes to be a mechanic. And you know what? They make pretty good money. The good ones do, at least. And the same thing goes for a lot of other fields, like, electricians and plumbers. So we as a society got to stop demonizing people that do things other than being lawyers or doctors or professors, because the world needs a lot more than doctors and lawyers in order to function. I mean, yes, doctors are important, and lawyers are like good for a laugh, like Saul in Better Call Saul, or Jimmy or Gene or whatever he goes by. There are some good lawyers. I've mentioned this before. I actually have a few friends that are lawyers. But we need other things too. We need those things that I mentioned. And so you do not have to be a doctor. You do not have to be a lawyer. You do not have to be a professor. You can be what you want to be. And don't let people pressure you into becoming this or that. Seek knowledge. Do your best in school. Try and make good grades. Make A's and B's. And you know what? If there's a class where you can't make a straight A in, if you have to settle for a B or C, at least you passed. And my cat is going crazy now for some reason. Anyways. But you would be crazy not to go get a good education, because you need it. And I'm not just talking about sitting in school or doing an online class. I'm talking about just educating yourself to the world around you by opening up a newspaper, well, some newspapers, learning things, even if it's just stuff on your own, or opening a book and reading, and like, if you get curious about a particular subject, what better place to go than the internet? I mean, I know not everything on the internet can be believed, But there's definitely like some places that are more credible than others when it comes to knowledge. So never be afraid to seek knowledge for the subjects that you're interested in, because you never know where that may lead you. This particular subject you like may, lead you down a path where you become a teacher, or you become a physical therapist, or you become a roofer, or a contractor, or a landscaper, or you become involved in business management. Maybe you do things in your life right now for fun, like playing a video game, and maybe there's something in the video game that you enjoy doing. Not this video game, because okay, so prime example to this video game. Maybe you like detailing your cars. Maybe you like using certain paint jobs, and maybe you should become a painter, or maybe, like I mentioned a moment ago, maybe a mechanic, or maybe you like flying. Maybe you like getting into a plane or a jet or a helicopter in this game. Maybe that's something you ought to consider, is to become a pilot. I mean, that takes some years to get as well, but still, I mean, the point is, it's your future I'm talking about, and that's why education is such a big issue. I mean, you may not be thinking about it right now because you're dealing with tests and homework and classes you don't like and teachers you don't like and fellow classmates you can't stand, but you got to think about the big picture. You got to think about the importance of your education and why you shouldn't drop out, especially if you're like in middle school or high school and you still only have a few years left before you're done. Just finish. Just focus, get it done, and it'll be over soon enough. It may feel like it's taken forever, but believe me, and this was told to me when I was a teenager too. Once you're done with high school, it starts to fly by. It's crazy. Once you make that transition from being a teen to an adult, and you're out there on your own, whether going to a trade school or working a job full-time, part-time, or you're in a 4-year college or university, because some people, like I mentioned, have to go to a 4-year college or university, but not everybody has to. And if it's not for you, then it's not the end of the world. There are plenty of other fantastic opportunities out there waiting for you. You just got to go out there and find it. You got to not be afraid to seek things that interest you. And it could already be something that you're doing on your own right now as a hobby. Something for fun. And you don't even realize it. You don't even realize that, oh, this hobby that I'm doing, I don't know what it is you do, but maybe you like making science projects. Maybe you like connecting wires and making lights and stuff. I don't know. There's something you probably like doing right now for fun. And you could most likely, maybe this isn't completely true, but there's a possibility you could, with further knowledge, education, and experience, eventually make a career out of it. Or at least it would be an aspect to a career choice, a career path that you may end up taking. So don't look down on education. Don't frown upon it like some people do. Like, oh, you're going to go study? Oh, you're going to go do your homework? Ha, ha, ha. Well, like, you know what? I don't want to live in a crappy little apartment or a trailer. I'd actually like to have a nice home or a nice condo or, something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not a mansion, but at least something decent. Something comfortable, so you have a few bucks in your pocket, so you can get a nice car, or always have nice gaming consoles, or be able to purchase the items you want, or good food, and be able to provide not only for yourself, but perhaps even for a future family, or your cat who won't stop annoying you. Yeah, because the cats aren't going to go get jobs. They're just going to sit around swatting at you and meowing and expecting you to feed them and clean their litter box. So you got two choices. You can either stick with that job at your local fast food restaurant, and there's no shame in working there, or you can think about your future and think about where you want to be in a few years from now, and you can start planning ahead, saying, look, I need to get out of here. I need to eventually do something more of my life than flip burgers. It's okay right now. It's putting money in my pocket. It's better than, sitting on my butt doing nothing. But this is not what I want to do in my life. And, maybe, what? Some people actually, that's perfectly fine, because some people may want to go into the fast food industry or the restaurant industry, and maybe you want to learn more about business management and you want to become a business manager at a restaurant or GM one day, and maybe even start your own restaurant, which is not easy to do. So if you love cooking, if you enjoy cooking and making things, whether it's pizza or spaghetti or a soup or a stew or a gumbo, or it's just something you enjoy doing, then maybe consider some culinary classes, and become a chef. Because, there are definitely some chefs out there that make some pretty good money. They make a decent living. So, yeah, there's another aspect, another thing that we obviously need. We need chefs, we need butchers, we need farmers, we need ranchers. So, yeah, these are important jobs that are out there. If you like the wildlife, if you like being around livestock, maybe, consider a future as a rancher, or if you like growing things, if you have a green thumb, maybe one day you want to be a farmer. So yeah, education comes in many ways, many forms. And a lot of it stems from your own personal curiosity on the subject matter. So that's just something that was on my mind when it comes to education, because I know a lot of you, like I mentioned, are in some form of school right now, whether it's a public school or private school or parochial school or military school, possibly, or high school, middle school, or even college. And maybe you're wondering about your future. You're wondering if what you're having to learn will help you down the road. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But at the very least, you're learning something. You're at least gaining skills that are important, like studying and responsibility, and getting an assignment done on time, and things that you're going to need as an adult. Because whenever you have a job, you're going to have to get your job done. You're going to have to work. You have to make sure that you get this taken care of, or eventually your boss is going to fire you. It's like, you know what, you didn't take care of your job. I paid you to do this job, and you didn't do a good job. You half-assed it. You didn't even do it. Well, guess what? You're fired. And if you want a long career of not getting fired, if you want a job that eventually pays and has some security for the most part, because you never know what happens in the world. Things happen that are unfortunately out of our control. But the best thing you can do is to educate yourself as much as possible about various things that interest you. Because, like I mentioned, humans are very, very curious creatures, for better and for worse. But you should definitely never deny your most important muscle the ability to flex itself. And that most important muscle I speak of is your brain. So always nourish that brain with knowledge and education, whether it's from books or from anything else, or, I don't know, maybe the cat's trying to tell you how important the education system actually is for you. I don't know. That's cats for you. But don't deny yourself an education, because if you don't, then you end up falling into the wrong crowd, and you don't have a good education, and you're not going to have a good life. You're not going to have a good career. You're going to fall into hard times. You're going to have to do desperate things. Things that most people would never have to do if they had an education, if they had knowledge, and if they had certain skills that allowed them to, not do certain things like being chased by the fuzz. So, yeah, education is good, and no education is bad. All right, so in conclusion, all I'm trying to say is don't dismiss the desire, the need to gain an education, because it is important. Even if it's just something that interests you personally, that's fine, because you're going to put more effort into going out and seeking that knowledge. And that's one reason why I love history, is because I didn't have to be in a history class to be interested in history. And that's one reason why I did good in history. But a lot of the history I know is from history that I've looked up, history that I've read about, YouTube channels that focus on history that I enjoy watching. So yeah, always be willing to, nourish your brain when it comes to knowledge that interests you the most. And like I said, you never know where that knowledge those skills and all that stuff you've gained up there in that computer of yours is going to lead you. Knowledge, as they say, is power.